Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a very requested video. It's also something that I've promised for a very long time, and I've actually filmed it quite a bit, mostly on my vlog channel, which I might actually put this up on my vlog channel instead of my beauty channel. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this channel for on the vlog channel, then Christine GS Life. But anyways, this is going to be my PCOS story. And I'm pretty much just going to tell you what PCOS is, how I found out I had it, leading up to finding out and dealing with it, and kind of my mindset through the whole thing, because I know a lot of people have it and that's not something that I knew whenever I first found out. So anyways, if you've never heard of PCOS, it is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's when you have about 15 or more cysts in each ovary and on the inside. When it comes time to ovulate, you're supposed to ovulate every single month, and your egg is inside of a sac, a fluid-filled sac. So imagine your little egg in this little sac, and when you ovulate, the egg is supposed to pop out and go to your fallopian tube and you know where it goes. But anyways, when you have PCOS, it doesn't pop out and it just stays in there, and so it gets more liquid. I don't want to say it gets infected, but it turns into a cyst, and so it's no longer a viable egg or whatever. So cysts can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Usually they dissolve back into your body. When you have cysts inside of your ovaries, it can be really, really painful. You can have really inconsistent periods, and yeah. So that means you're not ovulating. Whenever the egg doesn't pop out of the sac, that means you're not ovulating. And so many times I was not ovulating. Like 9 times out of 10 I wasn't ovulating. Some women don't ovulate at all. And the thing with PCOS is that it's different for every woman. No woman's the same. There's a lot of different side effects that can come with it. Hair loss. You can have really bad problems with your skin. Hormonal breakouts, because a lot of times when the cysts are in there, they're putting weight on your ovaries, and your ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. And so putting weight on that, when in my case, I was producing too much testosterone, and it was blocking where I could get a lot more estrogen and progesterone. So there's that, and it's pretty much just a hormone imbalance, the main thing. But when you have a hormone imbalance, it like throws everything in your body off. So like I said, you hair loss, weight gain that you can't lose. It's very difficult to lose weight when you have PCOS. In horrible migraines, you have horrible cramps from periods, you don't have your period often, you don't ovulate that often, sometimes you're sterile, which I thought I was. So it's a very touchy subject for a lot of women who actually have PCOS, because it is a life-changing thing. The best way I can describe it is that it's like having diabetes. So in some cases you can get rid of diabetes, like the really lower level diabetes you can get rid of, and a lot of people are going to argue with me about that, but you can. I've seen it done. But with PCOS, you can never get rid of it. It's something that's with you for the rest of your life, and you just pretty much have to deal with the symptoms to make it easier on your life, or to be able to do certain things. You have to change a lot of stuff, and a lot of it has to do with diet, and a lot of it has to do with lifestyle. But you can get rid of PCOS. At least they haven't found out if you can get rid of PCOS. And another thing is that it is genetic. I did a lot of research on it when I found out, which I'll tell you how I found out in a second. It's pretty much genetic from your father's side, which is weird because my mom has it. And I also have a thing called endometriosis, which means you have cysts on the outside of your ovaries. So I have cysts on the inside as well as the outside. So the cysts on the inside are from my eggs not producing. The cysts on the outside are just bloody cysts. Yeah, so those are really painful as well. They pretty much pop. I know this is like really horrible to listen to, but you might have endometriosis if you have this problem, because when they pop, you get this stabbing pain in your rectum, and it is very uncomfortable. It can like shoot you onto the ground or throw you back. It's so painful. I'm not lying when I say it feels like someone is shoving a knife up your rectum. It's horrible, and I haven't had that many problems with that, but I had a few years there where it was unbearable, and I was taking I think it's naproxen for it, and yeah, it took a while to go away. So my mom has endometriosis. Now, I'm not really sure if she has PCOS. The symptoms that she had were PCOS related, but back then, whenever she was trying to get pregnant, it wasn't that mainstream now, which to you guys, if you don't have it, it's not that mainstream, but now there's a lot of people out there talking about it and their symptoms, and it's very common. So she was just diagnosed with endometriosis, which are the chocolate cysts on the outside, and she had the pains worse than I did. So that's pretty much all I can think of. Definitely go check it out, but if you have PCOS, the one thing I would say, like I did, to not do what I did was to think all is lost. Like, you automatically have to have the worst case scenario. So that is pretty much the definition, that long definition, but and symptoms and stuff. And there's a lot more symptoms that go along with it. There's so many books that you can get that you can read about different symptoms. Go online, check it out. But the worst thing about going online is going to show you all the symptoms and all of the things that can go wrong with it, and it can really freak you out, because it really freaked me out. But there are a lot of symptoms that go along with PCOS. You might not have anything that I said. You might have other things and that are going on with you and have it. It's such a strange syndrome. And going further into it, Garrett has done a lot of research on it since we found out that I had it, and doing different things to make it easier and better on me, which what we did is not going to work for everybody, which I'll talk about that later in the video. But it's also a thyroid problem, where it all stems from your thyroid, that in turn messes with your ovaries, in turn throwing off your hormones and then screwing everything up. So it could strictly be a thyroid issue that needs to be fixed, if it can be fixed at all. So needless to say, if you have PCOS, it's not the end of the world. There are so many women that have it that have had children, and there's so many other obstacles or options out there. Adoption is a main one. That was definitely an option for us. But anyway, so let's go into the story of how I found out. So growing up, I always knew something was different with me. I knew something was a little off. I never felt normal, which, you know, most kids feel that way. But I remember whenever I turned 12, my mom went ahead and told my siblings and I that we had a little sister named Lindsay, and that she was a stillborn. She brought us out to her grave and told us about her. And then she told us that she had 3 miscarriages previous to having Lindsay. And whenever she told me that, that really hit home. Like, it just really destroyed me in the fact of, which this is going to get really deep, so I apologize just for warning you, is I'm the middle child, and so I was always left out of everything, you know, the typical middle child syndrome. And so, no, my sister Lindsay would be 6 years older than me, and I think, yeah, 6 years older than me. And I just thought that, oh my gosh, if I had another sister, then it would just be me and her against the world. We can, like, get back at my older sister, my little brother, and I wouldn't be the typical middle child. I'd have somebody there on my side. And so that really destroyed me for a long time. And I started going through mindsets of, why am I alive? Why did she not get to live her life? And okay, so going back also to a stillborn. If you don't know what a stillborn is, that's whenever you either find out a month before you had the baby, or a few weeks, or even the day that you're giving birth to this baby, that it no longer has a heartbeat. So the baby's dead, so you have to give birth to a dead baby. And that is just like, can really destroy you. It took my mom 5 years till she even tried to have kids again. So that's what happened to her. Her name was Lindsay Ann George, and I just know that she was just beautiful, and that she would have been an amazing person. And I wish that I had the chance to meet her, but I know I will one day, and so that's really special. I've always had a fear that that's going to happen to me. But anyways, growing up, going through puberty and all that, I never had regular periods anyway. I was very active. I was a full-time dancer and full-time student. That sounds so weird, but as soon as I got out of class, went straight to the dance studio, and we would do dance classes till 10, and that was every single day of the week. And then after I started getting out of that, I was in band, which at my school, it was a period during the day, and I did softball, I did soccer, I did track, and I was very active. So usually whenever you're an athlete, you have very irregular periods because you're so active, and but you would think you'd have healthier periods. But anyways, So I just figured that's what it was, but it continued after I stopped being so active. And so high school went by, and then my senior year, we finally went to the doctor because I'd been having this thing called folliculitis on my legs, where it's pretty much really bad ingrown hairs everywhere. It was just like an infection inside the follicles of your leg hair. And I'd had that for a while, and then I started noticing I was getting, like growing up, my leg hairs were thicker than everybody else's. I would have like some hair here on my chin, have sideburns, and like I was getting, the hair that I had was getting dark and really, really thick. And I also started getting stretch marks, which was really strange because I was the same size that I had always been. I mean, like I was growing, but they were in weird places like my inner thighs. And it was just really strange because, I don't know, it was just really, really strange. So finally, we switched to a different dermatologist, and she recommended us getting a blood test done in another town, like 2 hours away from our hometown. And they ended up finding I had a really bad hormone imbalance. My testosterone was a lot higher than it should have been, and my estrogen and progesterone was like really, really low. So also that was the start of me feeling even more strange and unaccepted almost, and kind of like a freak in a way. Not saying that people with PCOS are freaks, it's just how I felt and how people were treating me. So the doctor's office I went to, where they did the testing and everything, they had a nurse that was just like, your leg hair, not normal. That's of a man's beard. It's not normal. This hair, this hair, this hair, this hair, not normal. It's not normal. And she just kept saying stuff like it was gross, and I felt really alienated and disgusting. So anyways, went to the ultrasound, the lady was checking, and she started like measuring weird things. So it was supposed to take a few days to get our results back from the doctor's office, but they called us the same day and told us that I had PCOS and that I had a tumor inside of my right ovary. They didn't know if it was benign or malignant, which malignant is cancerous, and benign is just a mass of tissue. I remember after my parents told me, I went upstairs and continued writing thank you cards for graduation presents and graduation money and for high school. And so anyways, just a few days later, they scheduled my surgery, and I had it removed. It ended up being, I can't remember what it was, but you can Google it. I might put the name here if I can find it, but it's the tumor where you have teeth and hair. It's where the cyst didn't absorb back into the body like I was talking about before. It ended up growing and growing and growing to a huge mass, and they said it was the size of a golf ball, which is about the size of your ovary. So it was completely crowding my ovary, and that's the thing that was blocking my hormones. So they removed it, and everything still felt the same. Like I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel like it fixed anything or anything like that. And so started going to my gynecologist, and she would never explain what PCOS was, which was so annoying. She said PCOS is not a problem till it's a problem. I was like, what does that mean? And she wouldn't answer me. So that led me to get on WebMD, where it said that I'm gonna lose all my hair, that it said that you get it from your paternal side of your family, so your father, and that you can become sterile, and that it's really common to become sterile, and that you're never gonna have babies. So I never expressed this to my family or anybody around me, how much that affected me on the inside. And so from that point on, I was just anti having kids. I just kept saying, I would be the best auntie any of your kids have ever seen, saying this to my brother and my sister. And then I started thinking, why would I have a kid when I could just adopt? Like I had this attitude of like, it's not gonna bother me, like this is whatever, because I didn't want anybody to know that I was hurting. And I held it inside for so long, and I remember finally telling Garrett, I was like, are you sure you want to get married? Because I don't know if I can have kids. I don't know if that's something that I can give you. And I'm getting emotional, but I just wanted to make sure that he knew what he was getting into. And I didn't want to trap him, per se. I didn't want to be like, oh, we're married, guess what? Can't have kids, I can't give you that. Sorry, deal with it. I wanted to prepare him and tell him that, you know, it was a problem for me that I couldn't have kids, but I do want him to know that I was going to try. And so this was in the middle of college and stuff, and like going through different treatments to balance my hormones, mostly just birth control, which really screwed with my emotions like woo. Like I felt like I was pregnant, I was crying, I was a completely different person, and so I'd get off of it and I'd become normal again, and it was very interesting. Anyway, so 4 more years go by after high school, college, and then a year later me and Garrett decide we're gonna get married. And strangely enough, we've been together, it'll be 7.5 years when we got married that we were together. Never once we really talked about having kids. You know, like when we didn't have a plan. We always were just like, yeah, you know, can you imagine what little Garrett would look like? Oh my God, it'd be horrible. Can you imagine what little Christine looked like? Oh my God, it'd be horrible. Like stuff like that. But it was never like, I really want to have children with you. I really want to, like, we knew we did, but we knew we wanted to start a family, but we started going through different things because after I had that conversation with him, of we were going to wait till we're 30 and we were going to adopt. So that was all fine and dandy for like 2 years. And then recently, within the past 6 months, which right now it is February 2015, and we started talking about it pretty much like January 2014, how much we really wanted to have kids and at least try, because I felt like I was doing better. I completely changed my diet up. I was eating a lot more fruit and a lot more healthier items. I was eating actual protein instead of like burgers and stuff. I was having like roasted chicken, and I was working out, and everything felt really good. I was a very active person for a little while, for like that year. And so making those changes, we were like, you know what, I feel better. My periods are regular. You know, I'm not having side effects with my skin. It looks amazing. I'm not having any breakouts really. I'm not, like, my skin was just like on point the past year. And so I was like, my PCOS, like, it's got to be gone. Like, or not gone, but like I've suppressed it so much with decisions that I've made that everything's, that I might be able to have children. So that kind of got me more excited. I was watching a lot of vlogs where people had babies. The main one is Judy's life with her little girl Juliana, and then she had her twins. And it just made me really, really, really realize how important it was for me to have children, and how I really wanted to at least try to have children myself. Even if I couldn't, I wanted to try. And it was always in the back of my mind that my mom had 3 miscarriages and a stillborn, and finally had 3 babies. She called us her miracle babies. I didn't know if I could deal with it mentally, physically, emotionally. Didn't think I could handle something like that. And so that was always in the back of my mind. And then finally that year I was like, you know what, no, I want to try. I want to see if my body can do this, if I'm ready to do this. So Garrett and I, in September, I've switched jobs to a more stable job, and it just seemed like the right time to do it. And so we're like, okay, you know what, our plan is going to be, we're going to not prevent it for a year. We were going to, the second year, if that didn't happen, if we got pregnant, awesome. If not, it's not gonna be the end of the world. The second year, we were gonna start doing, the first half we were gonna do like ovulation to see when I'm ovulating and try to go on that schedule and trying to have a baby that way. The second half of the year, it was going to be more in vitro, and if we had to do another year of that, okay. That's just what I thought my future was doing a lot of in vitro and then adopting. And so if that didn't work for a few years, then we were going to adopt. That was kind of always our end point. And so we always wanted to have kids when we were 30, and I'm 24, he's 25 right now. And that has always been the thing we wanted to do, wait till our 30s. Our parents waited till they were 30, and both of our parents had birthed us, or had us when they were 32. And so that's just like the world we knew. So even though we are pregnant now and we're really happy about it, it's still, our plan was to wait till we're 30 and we were going to adopt a baby and adopt more babies. And so after the first time, I got my period 2 days after, and I don't think that qualifies as a miscarriage. I don't want to look too much into it because I don't want to know, honestly. But so I had like a 3-4 day period, and then as soon as I got off, we tried again. 1 day later, I had my period again. So that's when I was like, oh, that's weird, because I knew the first one wasn't on, like, I knew the first one wasn't whenever I normally start my period, because I just had it a week prior. And like I said, like, my periods were really regular then. So I got off that, I was like, that's whenever I started thinking maybe it's linked to us trying and not using condom. Maybe something was going on there. And so we tried again, after I had another 3 or 4 day period, and it happened again. So I made an appointment with a gynecologist. So after I made the appointment, me and Garrett tried one more time, and I didn't have my period. So I was kind of like all excited. I bought a pregnancy test and I tried it and I was not pregnant, but I still had my appointment scheduled. So anyways, I went to the doctor, and whenever I took the pregnancy test and it said not pregnant, it kind of like broke my heart a little bit, but like I didn't think it would affect me at all. I thought I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna try it, you know, whatever. Get situated. And so 3 weeks later, I went to my doctor's appointment, and she looked everywhere. She said the cervix looked really healthy and everything. So she said it's got to be a deeper issue. Maybe you have a polyp, which would be a cancerous piece of tissue inside of my uterus, possibly, she thought. So she scheduled me an ultrasound. I went down to take an ultrasound. Garrett was actually able to come with me, and this is kind of when everything went downhill. My ultrasound tech was horrible. Like, she was so horrible. I told her I had PCOS and endometriosis, and she's like, okay, well, we'll see. She didn't believe me. So she went in to look, and then she saw it and saw my ovaries completely filled with cysts. So she freaked out. She just started like saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't believe, like, that's horrible. That's, oh my God, you really do have PCOS. She just kept saying that over and over again. Then she was trying to give me all of this advice on what to eat. She told me to cut out bread completely. Like, everything she said was just crap, and she was just so rude and just so every time she like said like how horrible it was and stuff, like it was just eating me alive. But I was acting like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's good information, thank you. She said, yeah, it's gonna be next to impossible for you to conceive. And I was just like, that just kind of like punched me in the stomach. And so after that appointment, like, she just grabbed my hand and said, I can't remember really what she said, I keep trying to block it out, but she was something along the lines of hang in there. I have it on another video I've done, but something like that. She just grabbed my hand like, good luck, and just acting like that, like she had found cancer over my entire body and I was going to die tomorrow. That's the way she was acting. And so my doctor got my results. She called me back the same day, and she said that the only thing she thinks that could be happening is that I was allergic to Garrett's sperm. And that even hit me even harder, like, well crap, oh my God, I'm allergic to my husband. So that really scared me and freaked me out also. And me and Garrett didn't talk for a good week because we were both really emotional, mostly me. I couldn't form a word without crying, and that's why I haven't filmed this video sooner, because I got so emotional about it. And so finally we started talking about it, and we were like, you know what, it's fine, we can adopt. That's what we said that we would do to begin with. We could do that. And my doctor actually said that we should do artificial insemination, and I was okay with it. I was like, well, you know, we plan on doing this in 2 years. Let's just go ahead and take a break from it and just not worry about having a baby right now. Let's focus on our careers and what we want, fixing the house how we want, and let's get another puppy and let's just live our lives with dogs for right now, and then down the road in a couple years we'll try again and do in vitro and adopt whatever we want to do. So we agreed on that. It was still hard, but since we both talked about it and agreed, I was okay. I wasn't as emotional as I thought I would be. And so a few more weeks later is when I got sick, and if you watch my pregnancy announcement, you know how I got sick, and it told you how we found out we were pregnant. And I couldn't believe it, to the point of where me and Garrett didn't really I was so sick, we didn't talk for like 2 weeks about it, but I just couldn't fathom that there was a baby inside of me, and I couldn't fathom that I actually was pregnant. I almost didn't believe it. I was like, well, I'm gonna miscarry anyway, with my mindset. So the funny thing too is when I went in for that ultrasound appointment, I was actually 2 weeks pregnant whenever I went in for that appointment. So the last time me and Garrett tried, when I didn't have the period, it actually stuck, which is just crazy. Like, I feel like they should have seen that there was a little something in my uterus. I don't know, 2 weeks, probably like a grain of rice, I don't know. But it's just crazy that, we were pregnant then. It just like blows my mind. So That's really my story, and that's one thing I just want to put out there. When someone tells you that you have PCOS or a friend has PCOS, is just be very cautious about certain things and be very understanding, and don't treat them like they're broken. That's the worst thing that you could do, is treat somebody like they're broken, and don't ever tell them it's not a problem until it's a problem, because you can go ahead and start doing things to make it better. I personally believe that I wouldn't be able to have children if Garrett wouldn't have helped me change my diet a year and a half ago, where I was eating a lot more fruit, I was eating a lot more vegetables and protein, and starting being more active and healthy, and actually introducing water into my life, because I'd never really had water. It's just more important to do better things for your body when you have PCOS, because if you neglect it, it can continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. If any of you out there that I'm talking to has PCOS, the main advice that I can say is that I was so prepared for the worst that I was so shocked when something good would happen. And I don't want to tell you guys to be like that, because it is so depressing to live your life thinking that it's never going to happen. It's not for you. You might really want it, but you just can't have it. And thinking that you're broken is the worst thing that you can do, because you're not broken. There's so many things that you can do. Just think, you can go adopt a baby and you can save a life. A child out there that its mother couldn't keep him or her, and you're able to bring them into your life and show them so much love, because I know you have so much love to give. So that is one huge piece of advice I can tell you, is not to think you're broken. For me, it did work to think I was, because that's one thing I think was really bad in me and Garrett's relationship, is that I felt like I couldn't give him what he needed. And another thing too, if you're a parent out there and you have kids that just got married, or you're trying to have a baby, or you don't know if they're trying to have a baby, is not pressure them. Because I did have an incident. Garrett's mom constantly was asking for a child. She said, give me a baby for Christmas, don't give me any other presents, or for your birthday, give me a baby. Y'all need to start trying. Like both of his parents were actively asking us, when are you going to start trying? When are you going to do this? And even whenever you get married, everybody's like, so when's the baby? Or when are y'all going to try to have a baby? You don't know if they can't have a baby. You don't know if they've been trying and it's not possible, or they're having a hard time with it, or if they don't want kids, or you don't know what the situation is. So don't ever, please, please, please don't ever, ever, ever ask a couple, why aren't you having a baby? You need to start trying to have a baby. That's the worst thing you can do to somebody. But having PCOS, the lifestyle is very difficult to live through, because you feel like you're not a normal woman, but that's not true. You are a normal woman, and you are amazing and beautiful and capable of so much. So that's my only thing I can think to tell you guys that I think is really good advice. But another thing, one last thing I want to say is that when we found out that we were pregnant, we were in total shock, because even though we're like, if we get pregnant, we get pregnant, we still had in our minds that we weren't going to have a baby till we were 30. And me 6 years prior to that, Garrett 5 years prior to that. So it was still almost like an unplanned pregnancy, so it kind of took us both by shock in the sense of that. And it's been kind of hard for me to admit that it was an unplanned pregnancy, because for me, I've been wanting one for so long and planning for it in my head. So it's been a huge shock for us that we actually are. But it's exciting. It goes to show that if you're ready to have a baby, you're going to have a baby. It's going to happen whenever, it's going to happen when it happens. So same with my mom. She had so many miscarriages and stillborn. It just wasn't meant to be at that point. Whenever the universe is ready to give you a baby, you will have a baby. And that can be really hard. It's knowing that you have no control over it. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about having PCOS and endometriosis. If you guys have any tips about things that you've gone through, things that you did to get pregnant, or if you just have any amazing words that you want to share to give other women hope, please leave it down below, because I would love for the bottom of this video to be like a self-help type thing where we can comment back and forth to each other, give each other positive energy and positive love, because I always thought that I was the only person in the world. I knew I wasn't, but just I felt alone in this. And when I got onto YouTube to see other people had PCOS, I felt less strange and less broken and less alone in the world. So that's what I really am striving to do here, is to have a little community where we can talk back and forth and show each other that we're not alone, and that you do have support, and that people are out there who understand what you're going through. And yeah, so guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you all very much, and remember, you're beautiful, you're amazing, and you're wonderful, and I love you all very much, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.